evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Thursday, the 12th day of October, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. We'll have open lines this first half hour. Tim Spencer has some appointment this morning and can't be with us. He did a great job filling in yesterday, and I want to thank him publicly for doing so. In the hour, Tom Berryhill will join us. We'll talk about the energy cleaner. Hour 2, we hope to have Don Kubley with us. We shall see if Don's able to call in. Prepper tip of the day. We will expand on talking about this. Prepper tip of the day is please educate yourself, inform yourself, and then begin preparing for EMP, electromagnetic pulse attack. Please do that. You really need to. While I was gone, while I was in Denver, day before yesterday, I got information from 2 private sources that don't know each other that the U.S. military is, I guess you could say, hurriedly, possibly frantically preparing for an EMP attack. And you don't have to dig too deep in the public record, open source, to find out why. Former director of the CIA, Mr. Woolsey, stated publicly about 2 weeks ago or so that those 2 North Korean satellites that pass over the lower 48 every 12 hours on a polar orbit have nuclear devices in them. Now, I just found out recently that Iran has some satellites passing over the United States also. I don't know if Mr. Woolsey has commented on those. I don't know what the Iranian satellites may or may not have in them. But when the former director of the CIA says that there's nuclear devices in those 2 North Korean satellites, I think it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, don't you? Now, people may say this is disinformation. You can't trust the government. You can't trust the former director of the CIA. And I understand and appreciate all those things on one hand. On the other, what would be the motivation to lie about that? Lie to the 3 to 5% of the adults in this country who will even be aware of what the man says. And that's 5%. It's a fairly optimistic number. 5% of the adults in this country being aware of anything of significance, quite frankly, let alone the statement by the former director of the CIA. So if he was putting out disinformation, fabrication, lies, obfuscation, there aren't many people who will know that ever, because, well, they simply won't. One of my members of my audience Tuesday evening, he says, he's a ham radio operator, by the way, he says, John, there's no radio frequency communications coming out of those 2 North Korean satellites. Now, it's very significant. You may say, well, what's the big deal, John? Here's the big deal. Typically, satellites are set up to be communications devices. They can be GPS devices, which send out a signal, obviously. They can be part of a satellite telephone system, which would obviously send out a signal. They could be involved in surveillance of radio frequency signals, or they could be doing video surveillance, both of which would be sending out radio frequency signals. Pretty much every satellite that's up there that we put up, modern satellites, are up there to accomplish a goal. In order for them to accomplish that goal, they have to send out a radio frequency communication, RF communication. The video is RF communication also, in case you don't know. So I think that's very important information. My private sources, who will remain private and don't know each other, all they're doing is confirming what's being put out publicly by former director of CIA, Mr. Woolsey. So what do you do? First of all, educate yourself. Okay, at my website, at thelibertyman.com. You scroll down the right side, and you'll see, let's see here. I've got this, I've scrolled down a little bit where it says EMP Commission Executive Report 2008. EMP, it's just 2 articles above the RBN logo there. Well, it's scrolling. There's several logos, Rural Survival and RBN. The complete report is published there for you to read at your leisure, keeping in mind the following. Now, first of all, the director of that commission, Dr. Peter Pry, I've interviewed him on this show, and he says, John, there's a big, I'm paraphrasing here, not quoting directly, John, there's a big caveat with the report my commission put out. The caveat has to do with modern motor vehicles. Motor vehicles manufactured 1973 model year, which begins typically in September of the year before. 1973 model year and newer vehicles that have electronic ignition. Of course, they didn't go back 40-something years. They typically took vehicles that were pretty new, 2 or 3 years old at the most. As a cost-saving measure, the commission was instructed to not subject these vehicles to a full pulse, only reduced levels of pulse, electromagnetic pulse. That was a cost-saving measure to prevent the vehicles from being heavily damaged, so that there could be light damage only, which could be easily and repaired, less expensively repaired, so the motor vehicles they were testing could be resold as a cost-saving measure. So he says, John, we don't know. We can speculate. In fact, they can speculate with some certainty. We can speculate what would happen if modern vehicles were subjected to a full-strength pulse, but since we didn't do any testing, we don't know. So it burst my bubble. I was, after I read the report, I was thinking, oh, great, my Lincoln Town Car will be fine. It'll run. Well, there's fuel. Fuel will become a very big issue very quickly, by the way. It turns out not to be the case, which puts us back to square one. If you want an unmodified motor vehicle, power truck, motorcycle, you need to get one manufactured model year 1972 or earlier. Even then, you'll still have to make some changes. The first change, of course, would be the going back to a generator instead of an alternator. Now, that transition from generators to alternators was in the 1960s. I don't have that information in front of me, but it's easily located. Now, changing out an alternator is a 15 or 20 minute job for a man or a woman who knows what they're doing, has the proper tools. It's a simple, quick job to change out and substitute an alternator for a generator. Simple. Of course, you have to have a second, you have to have everything, obviously, the tools and the equipment to do it. So that's a big deal. Having a motor vehicle, even if you have limited fuel, that one trip of 100 or 200 miles from where you are, hopefully not too close or part of a densely populated urban suburban area, to your safe haven, that one trip could easily be the difference between life and death, even if you made no more trips after that. So, yes, EMP. There's reports, mainstream reports now, that North Korea was attempting to access computers that control the national power grid. Yes. So this is going to be multifaceted. And we need to remember that we're dealing with Asians here, not Caucasians. Asians think differently than Caucasians do. which is why we have so much difficulty with Russians, because despite Russians being Caucasian, at least the ones that run the country, they still think like Asians, and that's even once you are aware of that, wrapping your head around that is difficult. Wrapping your brain around that is difficult. Since we are Caucasians, it's difficult for us to understand the mindset of an Asian. Part of it is they plan decades in advance as opposed to several years in advance, which is what most Caucasians and Westerners do. Planned a few years in advance for major things as opposed to decades in advance. But that is how they think. So getting back to EMP, let's start from the beginning. Electromagnetic pulse. There's two ways these can be generated. One would be man-made devices, which typically would be looking at a nuclear device, although it is possible to have conventional explosives accomplish the same thing, albeit on a smaller scale, maybe taking out a city block or 8 or 10 city blocks as opposed to wiping out a big part of a country, the power grid. The other way is a natural event, which is called a coronal mass ejection, CME for short. The best known and one of the largest that we're aware of coronal mass ejections that hit the planet was the Carrington event in 1859. A massive coronal mass ejection that started fires in telegraph offices. The telegraph lines acted as antenna to collect and intensify that energy into the telegraph offices where fires were started. Barbed wire fencing across farmers' fields acted as antennas to collect and intensify that pulse to start fires in farmers' fields. We had no power grid at the time, of course. It was 1859 Electricity was basically restricted to research in various universities at the time, including something that's fascinating. It's a side note, something called earth batteries. In the 1840s and 1850s, there was a lot of research and experimentation on earth batteries, which is a fascinating area in and of itself. So a coronal mass ejection of that size today would wipe out half the planet's power grid, possibly most of the planet, because a natural event such as a coronal mass ejection can do something that a nuclear device generated event cannot do. And that's going around the edge of the planet. The nuclear device EMPs are strictly line of sight. They cannot go over the horizon. Obviously, the higher they are, the bigger area they're going to cover. But they can't go over the horizon. A coronal mass ejection can if it's powerful enough. Now let's look at the nuclear devices that can do this. Line of sight. The strength of the pulse is going to depend on how large the nuclear device is, and the area it covers is going to depend on how high up it is. Now, most people think of massive mushroom clouds, radiation, blast effects, and so forth when it comes to nuclear devices. None of that applies when they're set off in outer space. 25 miles up, 50 miles up, whatever it might be. If it happens in the daytime, you probably would not be aware, if it's a bright, sunny day, you probably would not be aware of the nuclear device going off, because the bright sunshine would conceal the blast effect. There'd be no noise, obviously. There's no air in the upper atmosphere, so nothing to transmit any noise. There'd be no radiation in terms of nuclear radiation. No blast effect, obviously. What there would be a microsecond burst of energy, the electromagnetic pulse. We're talking a fraction of a second here. That would go out to the compass points of the horizon, line of sight, damaging modern electronics. Anything that had a transistor, resistor, or diode in it would be damaged, possibly destroyed. Now, modern electronics basically goes back to the use of transistors in the 1950s. Since then, it's exploded to the point where our lives are full of things that have these transistors, resistors, diodes in them. Everything from our power grid being controlled to household appliances, our motor vehicles, the equipment that runs our freshwater, potable water systems for cities, the waste treatment for cities, and so forth. These oil refineries are full top to bottom, left to right, with electronics. Point being, the electromagnetic pulse may be the ideal weapon to use against the United States to defeat and destroy the United States of America as we know it, without damaging what they want, which is most productive agricultural real estate on the planet. That's what they want, as well as eliminating the United States as a world power, as well as eliminating middle-class Christians, Americans who go all over the planet, spending their own money to accomplish goals of helping people that are in need. It may be a remote village in India, or some remote village in South America or Africa, where American Christians, missionaries, go to help these people and asking for nothing in return. They really want to destroy that. There is certainly a spiritual component to this, no doubt. You need to educate yourself. We've got a break coming up here. If you've got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. And then mitigate. Mitigate. How would you live without the power grid? Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Who's calling? Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 12th of October. In my opinion, and you do your own research and form your own opinion, in my opinion, electromagnetic pulse attack is a clear and present danger to the national security. I have plenty of people that have the same, there are plenty of people that have the same opinion. Dr. Peter Pry, obviously, the commissioner, the head of the commission, appointed to look into what EMP can do, what it can't do. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, and others. other people who are prominent, other people you never heard of. Is it the ideal weapon? If you want to take down a country and not destroy its stuff, quote unquote, in this case, the agricultural areas, everything that it takes to make an agricultural infrastructure work, which is not just the farmland, of course, but the storage facilities, transportation facilities, which include the highways, the barges, the railroads, all those things. Complete infrastructure. It would be damaged, all of which can be somewhat easily repaired, given a little bit of time to replace and repair all the electronics damaged in an EMP attack, on one hand. On the other, compared to even nuclear weapons being set off, causing that kind of damage, it's small potatoes. The traditional nuclear war that we've been concerned about since 1945 is far less likely to happen. EMP attack is much more likely to happen. What's the point of winning a war if what you've won is all broken and busted up and destroyed from that kind of devastation? Going into a nuclear war, or I should say, going into a war with EMP devices makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. The goals of the international communist movement have not changed in a century. It was a century ago this year, actually last year. 1917 is when the Bolshevik Revolution took over, the Communist Revolution took over Russia. And by the way, Bolshevik means majority. In case you don't know, it's kind of a hoot. Bolshevik, they've never been more than 2 or 3% of the population of Russia ever. That's their majority, 2 to 3%. Took over that country. A vast, beautiful country covering 13 time zones. Tremendous, untapped wealth in terms of natural resources. I'm not sure the Russians themselves know what all their natural resource wealth is. It's such a vast country. They may. I don't know. But the goal of international communism has been to defeat the Christian, Western Christian world. And this is a spiritual component, by the way. That has always been their goal. They intend to rule with their atheist ideology, a boot in the face forever. That's their goal. That's their intent. To believe anything else is foolish. They have many tens of thousands of communists in this country, and people who are supporters, many without their knowledge or consent, that support the goals of communism, thinking that they're progressives, that they're going to create some kind of beautiful nirvana for people to live in with their progressive goals that they want to implement. So yes, educate yourself about EMP. Determine to your own satisfaction, first of all, that it's real. The second of all, what it can do, what it can't do. The third of all, what you need to protect your own family from this. My sources, my private trusted sources, are very concerned. They're actually involved in mitigation themselves with the U.S. military. And they're doing what they can to protect our men and women in the military, who in turn, their job is to protect us. I believe they're going to have limited success, by the way, knowing what I know about EMP. I know they'll do their best with the resources they have, but I believe it'll be a limited success. Coming up to the bottom of the hour break, we'll be talking to Tom Berryhill about the Energy Cleaner. We're going to have a drawing for the Energy Cleaner promotion. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. I've worked with men and women involved in the high-end shelters for years. With the Ozark Survival Homesteads, you get things you don't get with the high-end shelters. You get a opportunity to be in the bunker, of course. You also get a home, a 60 by 90 lot. You get your storable food, your livestock share, your garden, greenhouse share, your seed bank share. One person to have everything they need, right at $25,000. For a family of three, $37,000. You really need to check this out. It's very unique. At my website, you'll see the Ozark Survival Homesteads on the left side of my homepage. Go there, read that one page, fill out the form with your name, your email address, and your telephone number, and I will forward that to the guys and gals at the Ozark Survival Homesteads. Check it out. You'll be very glad you did. Thank you very much. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 12th of October. This is 24 minutes I look forward to every week, where we talk about a marvelous healing device called the Energy Cleaner. Usually we have Tom Berryhill call in, but he has not called in yet. Well, it looks like he has. I just got notice that Tom has called in. We begin these conversations with my friend, the manufacturer of the Energy Cleaner, Mr. Tom Berryhill, giving us our disclaimer. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, John. We are not doctors or medical professionals. We don't diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease. The information discussed today is for your education and entertainment only. If you have a medical condition requiring treatment, you should utilize the services of a medical doctor, chiropractor, or other competent practitioner.
Okay, thank you. Tom, I have been in contact with our friend Diane Zerger. Diane, for those of you who don't know, she was a guest here on my show every Thursday for a number of years. She's taking a break and has been taking a break for 2 or 3 years now. Diane has bought at least 12 energy cleaners. She recently just bought a mattress pad to go for one of her energy cleaners. And I'll be talking to her again in about 2 weeks or so. She's on a little vacation with her husband, and look forward to talking to Diane and getting caught up with her. I would love to have her back on at least occasionally. She is so perky and peppy and full of energy, and her stated goal, Tom, if you're just to refresh your memory, is to save the planet one energy cleaner at a time. Do you recall that?
Yeah, John, I do remember Diane saying that quite often, and right. She was well on her way. Absolutely.
Okay, now we have a promotion. It's time to have our drawing. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. At my website, at thelibertyman.com, when you go there and scroll down the right side of my, right at the top actually, on the right side, you'll see an orange sticker that says $70 off energy cleaners. Learn how to qualify for this discount. Click here. When you click there, you'll find out that we have a drawing every 2 weeks. And to be part of this promotion, send in a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. I put the postcards in a big envelope, and then I draw one out. If your postcard is drawn, it has to have your name, telephone, and email address on there. You get the opportunity to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. Your choice of any of my mattress pads. It's a great promotion. Now, out of the purchase price, $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting as a fundraiser. I know Mr. Stadtmiller and I have talked about this a couple of times privately. Mr. Stadtmiller is very appreciative of the help, Tom. He knows that you are the sponsor. You're the one donating the money, the energy cleaners, to make this happen. And he's very appreciative. So With that in mind, I'm going to reach into the envelope and pull out a card, and here's the card. And it looks like Victoria in Warrior, Alabama. Her telephone is area code 205. And Victoria in Warrior, Alabama. I will be in touch with you by email and by telephone to let you know that your postcard has been drawn and you're eligible to buy that energy cleaner, $70 off retail. This has been a lot of help to both our Republic Broadcasting, Tom, and to the people whose postcards have been drawn. And we're now into the second month of the second year of this promotion. So your help, like I say, Mr. Stadtmiller has been very appreciative, and Republic Broadcasting needs the funding, of course. Now, if you're a new listener and you're here listening to me for the first time talk about the energy cleaning, you may be scratching your head thinking, what in the world is this man talking about? I met a young woman Tuesday evening when I was doing my Denver presentation, Tom. She became aware of me and my work at my radio station just in the last 7 days. It would be 10 days now. And this being radio, there's always new listeners, aren't there, Tom?
Very true, John. New people all the time. I think
Right.
You've called it a revolving door.
Yes. Talk radio is a classroom with a revolving door at the back, always new people coming in. So starting from the beginning, if you go to my website at thelibertyman.com, scroll down the right side to the energy cleaner, you can click on there and read the patent application details. You can read the wonderful testimonials. It's a healing device. When I ship these things to Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, I have to fill out a customs declaration, and I put on there electronic healing device. That's what I put on there to describe what this is. It's a black plastic box about the size of a cigar box. Takes 9 D as in Delta, 9 D-cell batteries. No on-off switch, no gauges, no dials, simply one LED light that alternately flashes red or green, telling you two things. First of all, it's working. Second of all, it's changing polarity. One place to plug in one wire. And that wire can go to one of the mattress pads that I offer. It can go to a loom screen pad you make yourself. It can go to a aluminum foil pad you make yourself. It can go to a metal spoon that you drop into either a bathtub full of comfortably warm water or a hot tub turned down to 98 degrees, making it comfortable for sitting in there for an hour. Many ways to use the energy cleaner. That wire puts out what's called an electrostatic signal. Now people think, is this a Rife machine? It's not. No, it's not a Rife frequency generator. Is it a TENS unit? No, it's not a TENS unit. It's entirely different technology. And when you read the patent application information, you'll start to understand a bit about how this thing works. This signal, this electrostatic signal, which is why it only needs one wire, just like a radio only needs one antenna. This signal goes to every cell in your body, flushing out toxins, bringing in fresh nutrition. We focus on two things. Pain mitigation, it could be arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. It could be, and the other thing we focus on is getting a great night's sleep. Keeping in mind that when you sleep is when you heal. That's what you need to keep in mind. When you sleep is when you heal. So keep that in mind. I was talking to somebody the other night, Tom, and the topic of sleep comes up, and I said, well, I have a great night's sleep every night. And the woman I was talking to, she says, do you know how blessed you are? I didn't, I hadn't thought about it for a while, but I guess I am blessed to get a great night's sleep every night and wake up pain-free. And would it be a fair statement, Tom, that most Americans over age 50, most of the time, don't get a great night's sleep every night and wake up pain-free unless they're taking some kind of pharmaceutical product or products, plural? Would that be a fair statement, Tom?
Well, it's an accurate statement. It really is, John. we talk to quite a few people that have issues with sleep. But, I do hear from many of them, they say, well, sometimes I have interrupted sleep. I still sleep very soundly when using the energy cleaner. So they still may wake up, but when they do sleep, they say it's a very deep sleep, and they feel well rested. Even if they don't have 8 or 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, they still feel very rejuvenated.
Exactly. Now, once you've done your homework and convinced yourself, it's not up to me to convince you, it's up to you to convince yourself, ladies and gentlemen, and you ponder this and consider it. Once you've made your decision you want to buy one, you can do that right at my website at thelibertyman.com. Place your order there for your energy cleaner and your mattress pad to go with it. You can use PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. Keep in mind, PayPal also takes payments if you're a resident of the United States. That's pretty neat. It helps spread out that dollar amount over several months if you need to do that. You can also call my toll-free auto line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Tom, I'm putting Steve Whitman on my list of people to call. The fish camp is now October. His fish camp up in Maine is shut down for the year. And Steve's got more discretionary time. He's a Maine fish tour. He's a Maine guide, is what he is, and he should have some time to come here on the show and talk about how the energy cleaner saved his life. Literally saved his life. We've got Steve's testimony at my website under testimonials, but just to quickly summarize, Steve was living his dream, working at the fish camp up in Maine about 3 years ago, I believe it was, when he re-injured an old injury doing construction work there at the camp. And the man he was working with, both he and Steve were both listening to my radio show, and his friend said, well, why don't you try one of John Moore's energy cleaners? It can't hurt. So Steve got energy cleaner, and he felt better so quickly that not only did he get back to the physical fitness he had before that injury 3 years ago, but he also felt better than he had in about 20 years. And when he'd injured that back doing weightlifting, and that's how good he felt. So he even got back into weightlifting and working out, which he hadn't done for 17, 20 years prior to that summer. So he's feeling great, working out. Fast forward to the end of the fish season, he's working on a backhoe. A gentleman he knew drove up, and right at quitting time, typically this former employee and he would have coffee after the day's work was over. Steve's running a backhoe, and he gets shot 3 times with a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, twice in the torso, once in the right hand. Steve leaps off the tractor to avoid the 4th and final kill shot. In the meantime, the shooter commits suicide, and Steve began his quest to stay alive, which I'm going to shorten this really dramatically here. He did survive the shooting, and a month later went back for his first checkup. He'd been using the energy cleaner for a month while he was healing at home, surprising the surgeon, who had never seen anyone recovered from this kind of trauma this quickly. Steve went on to get a full recovery from those injuries, and the bonus, the unexpected bonus, his wife sleeping on the bed with the energy cleaner next to him has now recovered from lupus, which is amazing. She had been suffering from lupus, taking the medication that it's a terrible choice to have to make. If you don't take the medication for lupus, you die. If you do take it, you go blind. But now she's completely cured of lupus and no longer taking that dangerous, scary medication for lupus. So Steve's testimony is very powerful, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, yeah, John, it really is. A couple of things, though, concerning Steve's testimonial. I'd really like to know, was it 1 month when he went back? I thought it was maybe a week or 2 weeks when he went back. But
I think it was a 1 month checkup. But
okay, well, I do remember him saying that they called in all the medical staff that was on the floor at that time to take a look at him. Probably because the attending physician would never be able to tell anybody what they saw.
Right. Well, the doctor wanted witnesses. Is what she wanted.
Needed witnesses. Needed witnesses. Yeah, because nobody would believe it. They'd never seen anything like it. He healed so fast. Absolutely. And then also on Steve's wife, I believe she was near the energy cleaner pad, but not necessarily right on it. I'd really like to.
Well, we need to confirm that. Maybe we can do that when we get Steve back on next time. Tom, we got a caller on hold here. One of our energy cleaner users, Jim in Minnesota. Good morning, Jim.
Yeah, hi, John. I've purchased many energy cleaners in years gone by, and I just recently purchased 5 of them. And by golly, they do work. I sleep on the pad, and I've given a pad to my 60-year-old son, and one to my 62-year-old girlfriend. I'm a widower, and they all say good things. And my son and my brother and my sister, they're the doubters. They think I'm a little cuckoo. They're also big gamblers. They spend quite a bit of money at our Indian casinos here. And I said, well, the one thing you better never gamble with is your health. See?
Right.
And I'm 77, and I run around like a spring chicken here, you know. And
right.
I'm sure it's the energy cleaner that did it, you know.
Absolutely.
And, and now you were talking earlier about losing the grid. My God, we got a guy in North Korea. He could take out our grid with a high altitude explosion. Hope to God it doesn't happen. I have friends in Seoul. I was on Seoul as a tourist and on a trade mission, and they are very, very wonderful, dear people. They are Baptists. I went to the Baptist church. I had Sunday dinner with the pastor and his family, and I would hate to see terrible things happen to Seoul. There's 25 million people that live in the greater Seoul area.
Right.
And my God, it would be a terrible thing. But I think we're going to have to do something with this little fat boy. And thank God we got Donald Trump. But anyway, there's not much more I can say except that the energy cleaner is a wonderful device, and it does work. And my younger brother and sister, they're not in the greatest of health, and I consider myself pretty good. I went to my Minnesota State Fair, and I walked all over the damn place for 6 hours,
right.
And with my girlfriend. And so anyway, it's about all I can say, you know. And say keep doing the good things you're doing, and you know. And but my God, if we lost the grid, no drugstores, no medicine, no pills, the energy cleaner, it's going to keep you in shape. I believe It kept me in shape. I take no drugs, no medicines, no nothing, and I will not in the future either. So,
well, good for you, John.
Well, we'll talk to you later then, John.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate the call. Now, Tom, people that, well, we got a break. We'll talk about this a bit more when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. Thursday, the 12th of October. Yes, no apologies. None necessary. We're talking about the energy cleaner. I heard Jim from Minnesota. He just bought 5 a couple of weeks ago, 5 more energy cleaners on top of the several he's bought over the years. People that listen to my show and listen to the callers and know my demographics, they know that listeners to the John Moore Show are educated, intelligent men and women who actually do own and actually do read books, which hardly any Americans do anymore, by the way. And with that kind of demographics, why would these intelligent, educated people that listen to the John Moore Show, why would they buy the second energy cleaner if the first didn't work? Why would they do that? These are smart men and women, successful in their chosen careers. Well, obviously, they buy the second, third, fourth, fifth, or more because the first one, the second one works, and so forth. Clearly, obviously, that's what's going on. Now, to give you some peace of mind, if you're pondering this, just exposed to this, keep in mind the following. I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's from me to you personally. So you're risking nothing when you buy your energy cleaner. Doesn't work for you? There's about a 3 or 4 or 5% chance it won't, because sometimes it doesn't. That happens. Box it up, ship it back. I refund your money. No questions asked. I refund your money on the spot. I pick up that return energy cleaner from the country post office in Cherryville, Missouri. I refund the money that day. I do. So you're risking nothing. If this gives you some peace of mind, I hope it does, to do your research, think about it, pray about it, go ahead and make your purchase. Get yourself an energy cleaner, get a mattress pad to go with it. Hey, and you're good to go. You heard Jim from Minnesota, 77 years old. He was a widower. His wife died, I'm not sure, 2-3 years ago. Walking all over the state fair with his 63-year-old girlfriend. I'm 70 years old. I ride my 750-pound motorcycle every chance I get. Jump out of airplanes, out there using a chainsaw, cutting down trees. A friend of mine who comes out here to work, part of our group, Ron. I believe Ron is 77 years old also. He has an energy cleaner he uses every night as well. He's very active gentleman, cutting down really big trees, cutting them up with a chainsaw, picking up those logs and loading them up in the Kubota tractor just like I do. And you can also, you don't necessarily have to cut down big trees, but whatever your chosen activity is, you'll feel better about doing it. You'll get a better night's sleep. You'll have more energy for the things that you want to do. Maybe golfing, maybe walking in the park, maybe more strenuous things. It doesn't matter. That's your choice. And you get to choose and pursue those things more frequently and have more fun doing them if you've got more energy and you're pain free, won't you? Clearly, obviously, that would be the case. So get your energy cleaner, get your mattress pad to go with it, and get your life back, right, Tom?
That's right, John. And everybody should remember, this simply detoxifies your body. If you can detox every cell, your body will heal itself. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens. Tom, thank you, sir. We look forward to having you on tomorrow morning to talk about emergency communications.
Thank you, John.
Okay, top of the hour break. We'll be back with Don Kubley. We'll talk about a wonderful product called the Inter-Shelter Domes. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 12th day of October. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage everybody to educate themselves, inform themselves on the topic of electromagnetic pulse. I consider it a clear and present danger to our country. And the prepper tip of the day is to prepare for EMP. How would you and the people you care about survive if the power grid went down? That's your prepper tip of the day. With patient Wayne in the green room, my friend Don Kubley. Don is the CEO of Inter-Shelter Domes. There's a link on my website on the left side if you want to educate yourself about the Inter-Shelter Domes that are being used all over the planet, literally from the North Pole to the South Pole, tropical beaches, mountain areas, suburban areas, forested areas, every place you can imagine. Good morning, Don.
Good morning, Colonel. How are you? And my prepper tip of the day is if we do have the electrical grid go down, when it hits the fan and everybody turns on everybody, have a bug out shelter you can get to with your family. And I've got a perfect one in mind.
I bet you do. And you sound much better than you did 2 days ago. Did the honey help you out there?
It did. I'm still fighting it a little bit. Those Hawaiian bugs are pretty stout, guys. But yeah, no, that was great advice. I feel much better. Thank you.
Outstanding. Well, the other day, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to Don, and I said, "You got a frog in your throat?" He says, "No, it's a toad." And so I said, "Is there pain?" He said, "Yeah, there's pain." So it's for everybody listening.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling much better. It doesn't sound by my voice, but yeah, no, I'm back in the saddle. I even had time for 2 cups of coffee this morning. So you radio world out there, be careful. I'm riding hard.
Okay, gotcha. Well, we continue to have events worldwide in terms of earthquakes, hurricanes, typhoons, flooding, and so
wildfires.
Wildfires. The thousands of men and women and children in California have lost their homes, their businesses, their schools. Nothing left but concrete foundations. These people are going to need housing, aren't they, Don?
Yeah. And that's really what I've been focused on, like a laser beam for the last week since I've been back from Hawaii. In fact, even when I was in Hawaii, this guy was ringing my phone off the hook. I've got 3 different entities from FEMA. FEMA doesn't do their own buying. They subcontract out to entities and companies that they've done business with over many, many years, and they have them go out and go through the materials and needs that they have, and they they trust them. And so I've got 3 of these critters banging on my doors, and one of them is really aggressive, and he's they're making demands about production lines and capabilities that are just not possible. You can't. I mean, I can ramp up quickly by the nature of the beast. It's very easy to ramp things up, but I mean, he'll just say, "I want 5,000 units in 6 weeks," and if you do the math, that's 100 buildings a day.
Right.
I'll go, well, I can get close to that. I can do the best I can. And then he says, and then I immediately want 40,000 more, and I want it by this date. And it's just, and I understand that there is a real need out there. There's, I don't know if you can play a short video on your show, but I've got a really powerful short, like 3-minute video of the mayor of the Big Island of Hawaii is one whole county, so there's only one mayor on the Big Island.
Right.
And his name is Harry Kim, Mayor Kim, heck of a guy.
Right.
And we had this interfaith conference over there. 100 different churches were involved in trying to do something about the homeless problem over there. And they had one of my domes set up in this auditorium, and he got up and he said, he said, most of you haven't known me long enough, or don't know this, but I grew up in a house smaller than that dome. And he said, and a lot of times we didn't have electricity and we didn't have running water, and he said, but and he's about like 75 now. He's not a youngster, and he goes, today, when I look back on my life, those were the happiest years of my life. He said, I didn't know I lived in a small house. I thought it was a palace. And he said, I was just totally at peace. He said it didn't have anything to do with the size of the building. It was the size of the love in it, and the fact that I had my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister, and we were together and healthy, and I've got him on a video. Not at that event, not during that speech, but we moved that day. We broke it. By the way, we set a new record putting up a 20-footer. These 4 Hawaiian guys put it up in 1 hour and 10 minutes. Really?
And had they done it before?
Yes, they had done it. Well, one of them had done it once before, but he was on a mission. He was on a mission to do this, and he had these guys doing backflips. But and he beat it. But the next day, they took it down in a half an hour and moved it over right next to the county government house, the county building. I don't know what you call it, but they set it up within 10 feet of the door. There was this little spot of grass there, and this video I have that I'm referring to, I know this is a long story, John, I'm sorry, is of this Mayor Kim standing in front of the dome telling a very similar story, not of himself, but of a homeless person or family that if they were on a street and they were given the opportunity to live in one of my buildings, just how huge it would be in their world. And to make a short story long, there's a bunch of those people out there tonight, and that's why I'm trying to ramp up as fast as I bloody can.
Well, you've got huge demand that you're ramping up production, and I've had people express their concern. Is it too late? Did we wait too long with all these this pressure from Bangladesh and California and Hawaii, other places? Can InterShelter still meet the demand? If I place an order, will I still get my product in a reasonable period of time? And what's your response to that?
Oh, absolutely, no worries. Yeah, we've got dedicated lines. We've got one line dedicated to Kwajalein. We got one line dedicated to FEMA. We got, but we've always got a line for. And remember that when you're pumping out numbers like that, you can always yank one out of the queue. Yeah, when it's only a single unit or two. You know, you've got them coming off like a cookie, like in a cookie factory, right? Right. You just yank a couple cookies out and put them in a box, right? Exactly.
And the other customer still gets their 1 pound of cookies while you take out a fraction of a pound. Well, that makes perfect sense. Right. So that should give people some peace of mind, knowing that if they go to my website at thelibertyman.com, they educate themselves, they make their decision, and they go ahead and want to make their purchase, that these other orders from individuals who need 1 or 2 or 3 domes will still get their product relatively quickly, won't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in short order. But with what, you've mentioned the natural disasters going on, John, and all these people that I'm trying to help now. It's like, imagine when you were in the service and they were training you for getting into a hot zone, and you get into a firefight, and all of a sudden you realize you don't have enough ammo. You get on the radio and you call back, and they say, well, you tell them that you need the ammo, and first of all, you shouldn't be out there without enough, and second of all, they should have it right there ready to bring to you instantly, and not have to call in and have it ordered. I mean, if there's a lesson to learn from all these disasters, is don't wait till you're in a firefight and out of ammo to start thinking about your game plan if you get into a situation like this.
Exactly.
You know, if these people had, and I know it's not easy to plan ahead when you're getting the kid off to school and going to soccer class and yoga and everything, and you got the house bills to pay and everything. But having an extra shelter in case of an emergency is really doing a good thing for your family. It's a lot like a small insurance policy.
It is absolutely. So people need to pay heed and make their decision. So many things that can be done. You can keep it in your backyard, covered up with a tarp, unassembled, ready for being assembled if you need it, or in the garage, waiting to be assembled. Or you can go ahead and just build your man cave in the backyard and make use of it right now. A lot of flexibility there, isn't there, Don?
Or if say, for example, for these people that have lost their homes in Napa Valley, they could have put one of these up 30 miles away from their houses. Even if it had been in the garage in that particular situation, the garage is all ash right now.
Exactly.
And although this would have been the last thing to burn, to have a place that you can get the heck away from where you're at and be safe, get away from it is a great option to have in a situation like that.
Absolutely. Well, the unassembled dome could be in the backyard, covered with a foot of dirt. It would cause no harm. And then waiting to be scraping off a foot of dirt with hand tools would not be a big deal. And you got a dome it's unassembled in perfect condition, ready to be set up in a couple of hours, right?
Now that would work. Absolutely, that would work. I know it would be strange to do, but I'm gonna send it to you anyway, just in case you think you might have time to play this Mayor Kim tape. I don't know if you can play a video and just do the sound clip on your
I
show.
Believe we have that capability, and if you get
you
that,
don't, you can always watch it. Right. You can always watch it after the show, John, if you don't have time.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a well worthwhile thing to listen to, and if you can send it to me by email, I can send it to my engineer, and maybe he can go ahead and play it during this show.
It's already uploading right now. It'll be there in about 2 minutes.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. Yes, and I'll get that to him. I need my engineer to give me the preferred email address here so I can send that to him, and we'll see if we can make this thing work this morning.
He actually uses one of the analogies you do about food and smorgasbords, and I'm not going to tell you what he says just in case you get a chance to play it, but it really reminded me of the analysis you use.
Okay, well, good. That's as they say, like minds think alike, right? Or great minds think alike, whatever it is. If you got a question or comment about the domes, give us a call at 800-313-9443. This is one of those things that many people, they don't think about it until they have a need in their face, right, Don?
That's right.
Unfortunately.
And that's human nature. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd probably be the same way. But with what's going on in the world right now, it sure is it would be a time to sit down and maybe come up with a game plan.
It would be. It would be a great time to come up with a plan. And planning in advance can save a lot of grief, can't it?
Well, I don't know if people really realize, you kind of hit it on the head, John, and being the statistician that you are, the military brain that you have, I mean, you train military guys, you realize what would happen if our electrical grid shut down. Look at the people in Puerto Rico.
Right.
I mean, life as we know it this second changes instantly. People take it for granted that when they walk in a room, they flip on a light. When the furnace is supposed to come on, it comes on. When you want some water, you go to the sink. All that goes away. When you want a sandwich, you go to the refrigerator. You know what? All the food in there is rotten now.
Exactly.
And it's a real serious deal. And I don't know if this idiot in North Korea has the ability to do that. But if he does, and if he did, it would make Thanksgiving dinner a little bit difficult.
Right. Well, Don, here's your heads up. The former director of the CIA, Mr. Woolsey, he was interviewed recently on Voice of America, and he said without equivocation that the two satellites that go over the United States twice a day, every 12 hours, on a polar orbit, that they have nuclear devices in them. Now, I've since learned that maybe he meant to mitigate what he said and equivocate what he said. But the actual statement he made was without equivocation that these two North Korean satellites do in fact have nuclear devices in them. When my presentation in Denver 2 days ago, one of the attendees is a ham radio operator. He says, John, there's no radio frequency communications coming from those two satellites, which is a big heads up, because normally, a satellite functioning properly will be sending out RF signals, radio frequency signals. In addition, Iran has satellites that pass over the United States, and I don't know if former Director Woolsey has made a comment publicly on the Iranian satellites or not. So there is certainly a possibility of EMP coming, and the need to have a safe haven away from a metropolitan area. The inter-shelter domes solves a lot of problems, don't they, John? Don't they, Don?
Well, probably 90% of our buildings are off the grid, and if first of all, I'm stunned at what I just heard from you. I had not heard anything about North Korean satellites loaded with an atomic device. I hadn't. That's the first. That is. I've got a major pucker factor going here now.
Well,
I hadn't heard.
If my engineer gives me an email address, I will forward this this audio to him. Okay. And we got a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 12th of October, visiting with Mr. Don Kubley, the CEO of Inter-Shelter Domes. A great way to solve many problems. Problems involving the need for housing, the need for rental property to rent out places for college students or people that just need a home to live in, the need for a place for mother-in-law to stay, the need for a man cave, the need for a vacation home. Don, you're providing a service for people that solves a lot of problems. Quite frankly, this whole thing about these tiny houses baffles me. People spending $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on a home that's smaller than the dome home that you sell.
Yeah.
It's in fact, in my neighborhood, you can buy a nice 3-bedroom ranch-style home that's got new carpets, new appliances, freshly painted, doesn't need anything for $80,000 and have money left over. So this baffles me why people would do that on these tiny homes. But it's a free country. If they want to spend that kind of money on something that small, God bless them, more power to them. But you don't need to get a comfortable home that you would be proud to show to anybody and have your guests give them a tour. A very nice accommodation, right, Don?
Well, if you do get a chance to play that video, that mayor video, that's exactly what he says. And you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never figured out the tiny home thing either. I mean, I do. There's something special about a dome. I don't mean to sound like an old hippie here, but while you were blasting them out of the air in Vietnam I was listening to Woodstock, and God bless you for your service, sir. But there's a reason that domes became such a fad. There's something there's a different feel inside those things, and they're just very, very comfortable. And the geodesics were great, but they were just a fad. They were difficult to put up. You used regular building materials. They were very complicated. It took forever to build them, and what we have is...
And they leaked.
And they leaked like crazy. What we've got is a spherical dome that gives you the beauty of being inside a geodesic dome, but it goes up as fast as a tent, and once it's up, it's a bunker. It's an amazing combination of stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Now, I just got a note from my engineer. He has not yet received the email with the video clip on it. So hopefully he'll receive that by the end of the next break, and we can go ahead and play it. About how many minutes long is that, Don, if you recall?
It's probably about 3 minutes long, 4 minutes long.
Okay.
And I must warn you, for those of you that have been to Hawaii, you know that Hawaiians, especially the locals people, have a kind of an accent. They proudly call it pidgin.
Okay.
It's kind of it's kind of like a Louisiana accent or a Texas accent, but it's a Hawaiian accent. And so there might be some phrases and a couple words that you don't quite get, but you'll get the gist of it if he is able to play it. But just heads up, you listen close because he talks Hawaiian. He's speaking English, but there's a real Hawaiian tinge to it, or twinge to it.
Yeah, I met the adult son of a native Hawaiian who never set foot in Hawaii, and he has that same accent that his dad does, that native Hawaiian accent.
It's called pidgin, brother. I went to college at Gonzaga. About a fourth of the population was from Hawaii. I don't know why they had so many. I think they must just recruit over there. I almost spoke pidgin when I graduated from Gonzaga because I had so many Hawaiian friends.
Amazing. Well, you do tend to pick up the accent of whatever locale you're living in after a period of time. That's just the nature of it.
Yep.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, inter-shelter domes. They're cost-effective. They're beautiful. They're energy efficient. We don't know how long they'll last because the ones that have been built decades ago show no sign of wear and tear on the outside, and no maintenance on the outside. They don't leak. They're earthquake-proof, tornado-proof, hurricane-proof. Just a lot going there. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm going to go march.
Okay.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. I've worked with men and women involved in the high-end shelters for years. With the Ozark Survival Homestead, you get things you don't get with the high-end shelters. You get a opportunity to be in the bunker, of course. You also get a home, a 60 by 90 lot. You get your storable food, your livestock share, your garden, greenhouse share, your seed bank share. One person to have everything they need, right at $25,000. For a family of three, $37,000. You really need to check this out. It's very unique. At my website, you'll see the Ozark Survival Homesteads on the left side of my homepage. Go there, read that one page, fill out the form with your name, your email address, and your telephone number, and I will forward that to the guys and gals at the Ozark Survival Homesteads. Check it out. You'll be very glad you did. Thank you very much. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. And it is Thursday, the 12th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. At my website, you'll find new images. We're working on this, getting the new ones posted from a couple of different movies. One film is Contact, new images of continents with new coastlines. It's funny how we'll go for 2 or 3 weeks with no new images, and then we'll have several new ones come in all at once. Fascinating project. You can be part of it, finding images of continents with new coastlines on television shows and movies. This film, Contact, has been a great help because of the different images that are on there. If you find one yourself on a television show or a movie, NCIS, by the way, we're still trying to get a nice crystal clear sharp of that image on the wall of the director of NCIS of North America with new coastlines. Get that screen capture to me as a thank you. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. It's a great project, a lot of fun. Also at my website, of course, you'll find the energy cleaner for sale, a marvelous healing device. If you didn't hear the second half hour last hour, you need to listen to it. You'll hear one of my listeners who's bought 6 or 8 energy cleaners talking about how marvelous they are. Do your homework, do your research. If you have pain, it could be arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, it will probably help. Not getting a great night's sleep, probably help there also. Only $285, shipping included, American zip codes. Check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads also to go with it, and you'll be glad you did. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. 30-day money-back guarantee. So check out the energy cleaner. Make your purchase. Call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day to make your order also. That's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Don Kubley, the CEO of Ender Shelter Domes. And if you got a question or comment about the dome, well, give us a call at 800-313-9443. Don, the email has not gotten through to my engineer, so we're unable to play that 3-minute video clip. But we will hopefully have that ready to go for next Thursday and listen to the mayor there in Hawaii, Mayor Kim, talk about what his thoughts are about the dome. But we move on from there. You don't need specialized training or specialized tools to put these together, do you, sir?
And the big one, you need 2 buddies, and with the small one, you need 1 friend, or your wife, or whatever. And with the small one, the 14-foot diameter, 8-foot high, all you need is a little step ladder. With the 20-footer, you do need a couple ladders. You need a 10-foot step ladder for the inside, and you need a sliding ladder that extends to 16 feet on the outside so you can reach that top apex from the outside for those top bolts. But other than that, that's it. 2 ladders, screwdriver, and a wrench.
Pretty simple. Now, finishing out the inside requires, depending on what you want to do, you can leave it just like it comes from the factory and use the dome just like that, or make use of the skills of carpenters, painters, electricians, plumbers, to finish out the inside with, as you say, Don, most anything they sell at Lowe's or Home Depot can be used to finish out the inside in a manner that's suitable to your liking, right, Don?
Yeah, and you can put walls and kitchens and bathrooms and all that stuff in there, but really the one they had set up for this big interfaith conference on homelessness in Hawaii last week, there was no walls or anything like that, but they just had it set up. There was one little section that was your, like your where you would eat, your dining area, breakfast nook kind of thing. They had a bunk bed in there. They had a couch and a chair, a table, like in front of your couch, and it was. I might have a picture of that. I'll send that to you. It was totally comfortable, and there was nothing built in there. They could have gone down to, in fact, I think they did. I think they went down to the local Salvation Army or St. Vincent de Paul and bought these things, and it was a little home. It was totally comfortable. I think everybody was stunned when they walked in there. Now, if you want to put bathrooms and kitchens and sleeping lofts and disco balls hanging from the roof, you can do that. but you can make them comfortable just the way they are by putting some furniture in there.
Absolutely. So, do your homework, ladies and gentlemen. Do your research, and you'll find that these domes are mil-spec. They meet military specifications, which sell anything to any of our services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. It's a high standard that is not easy to meet, is it, Don?
No, it's not. And it did take a long time to bust through that wall. And it's a thick one, and it should be. You know, the people that serve our country should have the best of everything, and
right.
And they should check out materials and equipment that they're going to be putting into the field to help protect our men and women in uniform. So they do put them through rigorous tests, and yeah, it took a long time to bust through it. But once you do, you really have been given the gold standard of approval for
right.
almost any
right.
material.
Right. It's a much higher standard than a little sticker that says, quote unquote, as seen on TV. Right, Don?
Or made in China.
Exactly. Well, those little stickers, as seen on TV, mean nothing except the manufacturer had the money to buy advertising. That's all that means. But the fact that you have the approval of the United States Department of Defense, it says volumes. And I've made purchases of items in the past based purely on the fact that the Department of Defense approved a certain item for sale. Because I know those standards. I know how difficult it is. I know how long it takes. I know how expensive it is. So this is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to these domes, this is the real deal. You're buying the same thing the United States military buys, and you can take that to the bank, right, Don?
Yeah, and it's not just one, and it's not just one type of use. The United States Navy, for example, their nuclear submarine research division that flies the waters of the North Pole, they use them for Arctic research. The same Navy also uses them for radar stations on islands off Hawaii. The Army Corps of Engineers, which really, when it comes to architectural anything, the Army Corps of Engineers is pretty much it when it comes to the gold standard of architecture. We've got a big project going on right now in Kwajalein Island, down right just north of the equator. Doesn't get any hotter. It doesn't get any. In fact, the reason they're using our domes is the wood and concrete buildings down there are rotting because the marine environment and the heat is so hard on the building materials that they're basically just falling apart.
Right.
And our domes have been down there for 8-10 years now. We've got 2 different phases already, and they look like the day they put them up, and they're performing brilliantly. And so we're going to have a bunch of them down there. We're used by the Air Force up in Alaska. We're used by the Coast Guard in Alaska. So it's not just one military operation. We pretty much are used by all branches of the service, and right now with DynCorp we're talking about 150-man camps for special operations anywhere in the world in 72 hours. The light goes on, the 40-foot containers roll into C5As, and 72 hours later you got a 150-man camp anywhere on the planet ready to whack them and stack them. Absolutely.
Well, pay attention to what we're saying here, ladies and gentlemen. These domes are ready to go, ready to be used as is, right out of the crate, or ready to be fitted out with bare bones necessities are luxury. And people do both things, don't they, Don?
Yeah, it really is, and that's the beauty of them. It's a blank canvas. You can draw a stick man like I would, or you can do the Sistine Chapel on the inside. You know, I mean, they can be as fancy or as brutal and Spartan as you'd like. My moose hunting lodge is 4 bunks and a picnic table and a bar.
Right. Well, my hillbilly neighbors would use rough cut oak from the sawmill is what they would use, or rough cut cedar from the sawmill, and finish it out in a very rough utilitarian fashion. Or it could be chrome, glass, walnut, and leather, couldn't it?
Actually, you hit it right on the head. The Yakutat Lodge, which is one of the most famous, oldest fishing and hunting lodges in Alaska, just up the beach from Juneau here, they cut all their own lumber. All the stuff inside, I'll send you some pictures. All the walls, in fact, they turned one into a restaurant and bar where they serve meals and do barbecues and stuff at night. And then they've got a bunch of sleeper ones with kitchens and bedrooms, and all the wood they used in those was cut right there on site from the forest around them. And it's really beautiful. Right.
Well, the options are unlimited. The only two limitations are people's imagination and budgets. And it's something people need to be aware of, do their homework on, do their research, then make their decision. The options available allow you to buy what you need in terms of doors and windows, other accessories such as a flooring system, and not buy what you don't need. So you don't end up buying things that will be put in storage and never used. You just custom order the things you need to finish out your dome the way you choose to finish it out. Right, Don?
And you know, the other option is a true bug out rapid deployment shelter. And I mean, all you got to do is go to Cabela's Hunting Magazine, and they've got full kitchens in there that you just fold out in a matter of minutes, and it gives you a little stove, it gives you an oven, it gives you places to stow your spices and racks and stuff, and they've got bunk beds and cots and stuff. I mean, if you don't want to go through the hassle of building anything, you can go to Cabela's or that other big outdoor catalog and just have stuff that folds out instantly, and the interior is done as fast as the exterior.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, go to my website, ladies and gentlemen, scroll down the left side to the domes there on the left side. Click on there and start looking at those beautiful images. And they are beautiful. These domes, well, you're welcome, sir. The dome is nature's perfect shape. It's the shape of an egg. Despite how thin the shell of an egg is, if you give equal pressure, squeezing it with your hand, an egg, you can't crack it. I don't care how strong you are. You could be a 25-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you squeeze an egg in all directions at the same time, you won't crack it. You can't crack it, despite how thin that shell is. And that's the shape of these domes. Nature's perfect shape.
And that's a perfect example, because the frame of the wall of the dome, the panels are only 1/8 of an inch thick. And, you know, the whole building, the panels stack like Pringles potato chips.
Right.
So the whole building goes into a stack about 2.5, 3 feet high.
Now, Don, before the next break.
But let me finish. Even though it's only 1/8 of an inch thick, because of that shape, it'll take a 30-foot snow load, which is phenomenal.
Right. It is. Now, Don, for $80,000, how many domes could a person purchase?
Well, if you were going to buy that many domes, I'd give them to you at a discount. You could get for $80,000. You could get 10. You could get 8 of them.
Okay, because that's the price of a new Ford pickup truck, $80,000, as reported on Drudge Report as we speak.
Wait, 10 into 80. Yeah, you could get 8 of them.
Amazing.
8. Yep.
8 homes for the price of one Ford pickup truck. Breathtaking. Or one tiny house.
And you could move them around in that pickup truck, one at a time.
You could. Well, ladies and gentlemen, money is important. Budgets are important. It's good to know how much you can do for how little. And that's what makes these things so wonderfully unique, is how much you can do for so little money.
By the way, $80,000 is also what most of those little tiny houses cost.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Now, granted,
you have a whole lot of homes.
Granted, the tiny homes are beautiful, they're attractive, they're neat, but my goodness, I mean, that's too much money for too little space. So,
wait a minute, let me tell you how much square footage would be in that many domes. Hang on 1 second, it'll take me 2 seconds.
We're listening. We're waiting.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, as you're doing your calculations, we're going to come up with a very attractive number, I know, for what can be done.
For the same amount it takes for one of those 220 square foot tiny houses, you could have a 2,500 square foot complex, a pod, all interconnected of domes, 2,500 square feet.
Well, the average ranch-style home runs around 2,000 square feet, so you're looking at a considerable amount of space, to say the least.
Yeah.
It's energy efficient. That will not require any outside maintenance. That will not be affected by high winds, not be damaged by earthquakes. That's phenomenal. And you could have one dome, one interconnected dome complex for one family and all that space, or actually several families occupying these homes connected together with complete privacy one to the other, right?
That's right.
Amazing.
Oh. Yeah.
It is amazing. We got our last break coming up here soon. It's nice to have options. And when they're cost effective and energy efficient, it's even better. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Sure.
All right, we are back, ladies and we're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 12th of October. We're speaking with Don Kubley, the CEO of Intershelter Domes. That's intershelterdomes.com. And, of course, there's a link on my website where you can do your research, do your homework, and place your order right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Don, your business is expanding exponentially. You've got governments contacting you, such as the government up there in Bangladesh, for example, government entities in Hawaii contacting you, and of course various militaries, not just our military, but the Canadian military. I don't know, are there other militaries? Didn't you say the Germans were interested in this?
We've got some over in Germany, but those are being used for refugee camps. We haven't sold to the German military yet. We do have domes in Germany, but not in military deployment.
Gotcha. Well, regardless, these are items that people need to educate themselves about. Even if you don't need one yourself, educate yourself now. You may have a friend, a coworker, somebody you go to church with, that you're visiting with. Maybe you're having coffee after church on a Sunday morning, and you got a friend talking about how they need space for their mother-in-law, or how they want to have a place to go have a vacation house for camping or hunting purposes. And you can mention to them what you've become aware of, what you've educated yourself about with these domes. I need to ask you before I forget, Don, have you talked any more to Dome Dan about getting one set up in Missouri?
Not lately. No, I'm hoping that he re-engages soon. I'd sure like to get one down there.
He's probably listening. I'll be talking to Dan. I'm back from my big road trip over 4,000 miles, and I'll be getting caught up with Dan and several other people and see what the status of that is, and move forward from there.
He said you guys get together once a week or once a month or something like that.
Once a month we have a dinner. It's a meetup of my radio show listeners in our area, and we talk privately on the phone every other week or so. So we'll get caught up and see what the stat that is for getting a dome set up right there in Interstate 44. There's multiple opportunities to do that. Interstate 44 runs right through the southern part of Missouri, and it goes for all the way from the Oklahoma border to the Illinois border, and a lot of opportunities there, to say the least. So we'll keep working on that and move forward with it, Don.
Well, I'd love to do that.
Well, we need to because of the traffic count, and because it'll help so many people to achieve their goals of having a vacation home, rental property, place for their mom-in-law, a hunting cabin, whatever it might be. Very cost-effective. Yes.
For Dan, it would mean a retirement fund.
Right. Well, he is retired, a retired contractor, and he's a busy guy. He's a bright man with with some interesting, desirable skill sets, and he understands domes. And one thing that man understands is domes, because he's built 17 concrete ones. He won't be building any more concrete ones, but doing something with these domes is something that's just has really caught his attention.
Seems like a natural.
Yes, it's a natural fit, a very natural fit. And he understands domes inside out, upside down, all the advantages of them. And when he found, in fact, he was the one that let me know about your domes. I wasn't aware your domes existed until Dan let me know. So I have to thank him for that. Any final comments before we wrap this show up this week, Don?
Well, just once again, as always, thank you for your service, my friend. People like you who give people like me the ability to be free Americans, and God bless you for your service, and thank you for your vision on what these buildings can do to help so many and in so many ways.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll have you back next week. Appreciate it. That's it for the day. Thank you, sir.
Godspeed.
Tomorrow we'll have Tom Berryhill with Emergency Communications, Dr. Myers with Health. In the meantime, get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, essential oils now while you can. Your firearms, ammunition, never ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.